Good evening. I'm Mike Brooks in for Nancy Grace. Breaking news tonight in the desperate search for a 3-year-old girl named Kaylee. Hundreds of bombshell documents just released.
The detectives told them bull. They got all of their information from me, yet at the same time, they're twisting stuff. They've already said they're going to pin this on me if they don't find Kaylee.
Documents just released by the state show someone on the Anthony family computer was searching neck breaking and how to make chloroform. Text messages from the top mom to Tony Lazzaro show what she was going through the day she was arrested, telling Lazzaro she was the dumbest person and the worst mother.
She said, I've stolen money from you, I've been untrustworthy, and she goes, and maybe I have been a bad mother, a daughter, and sister.
The documents were just made public hours ago. Well, the judge in this case has denied the state's motion for a gag order on all parties involved.
She opened up to me and said, Mom has thrown it in my face many times before that I'm an unfit mother. And, maybe she's right, maybe I am.
Biggest mistake was not calling you guys right off the bat. I understand all of that. It's the biggest slap in the face, and I did that to myself. But the worst what I've done was to my daughter by allowing her to still be with someone else.
Good evening. I'm Mike Brooks in for Nancy Grace. Hundreds, and I'm talking hundreds of pages just released, and some of these things you will not believe. I want to go right out to Mark Williams, news director at WNDB News Talk 1150. Mark, what's all these hundreds and hundreds of pages? This is some unbelievable stuff.
Mike, this is not the first goat rope you've been to. 700 pages of documents released today by the state's attorney's office. They reveal some shocking searches on the Anthony home computer, including Google searches of words such as chloroform, how to make chloroform, weapons out of household products, and the most disturbing of all, neck breaking. Now, there's been separate searches on Wikipedia. Whoever's been on this computer has been a busy person. They reveal searches for words such as acetone, shovel, inhalation, and death. Now, one note of interest, Mike, is the fact that we don't know who was on this computer. The documents don't show that. But one thing they did do is they went back and checked Cindy Anthony's time card at work. She was working at the time this computer was accessed online. So your guess is as good as mine.
Okay, I want to go out to Kathy Bellich, reporter for CNN affiliate WFTV. Kathy, who else in that house had access to that computer?
Well, it could have been George. The documents show George was not working at that time, or it could have been Casey. Obviously, prosecutors believe it was Casey. That's why they're using this as evidence. That's why it's become public at this point. And, it's important to note, too, that this was back in March. This was 3 months before Kaylee had disappeared. And at the same time, Casey was also looking online for missing children websites.
What kind of websites was she looking for missing children?
She was looking at several missing children websites, and there was speculation that she was trying to figure out the circumstances under which other children had disappeared. And you couple that with this information, and you wonder, what she was looking at. Our legal analyst says it could go to motive and premeditation here.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. We talk about computers all the time, and I'm not a computer. I don't know that much about computers. I know how to turn it on. I know how to make it print. But joining us by phone tonight from Raleigh, North Carolina is Ben Levitan. He is a computer and telecommunications expert. Ben, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mike.
Now, help us break this down, would you? They have all this information from the computers. Now, is it possible to tell who signed on, who looked up these things, just from the time of day? I mean, what do they have to do when they from the time this person who's ever using the computer? It could be George, it could be Casey. We know the mother wasn't home. Could it have been Lee? Tell us how they go about starting an investigation into who's using a computer.
Well, Mike, like you said, this case is full of circumstantial evidence. The fact that someone looked up these web searches does not make them guilty of anything. We've got a little girl missing. Everybody's the evidence points that she's dead. And, we've got these things they're looking up about neck breaking, about chloroform, acetone, all these things. Now, how can we find out who signed on to the computer, or maybe who had access to this? Well, we can't tell who signed on, but we do know that whoever was
using the computer was looking up this information and was doing it in a kind of casual manner. They were not afraid of being caught at it, because if someone, from what I've seen, most of the people in the Anthony family are very intelligent, and if they were concerned about being caught, they would have erased all this, what we call computer history.
But can
now,
you really
can
ever erase?
Browser.
But can you ever even if you hit delete and you erase it, and you put it in trash and it's gone? Can computer experts retrieve that from the hard drive?
Well, now, here's how it works with a browser. Now, there's different levels of technical capability, but you yourself can just, on your own computer, you can see your own history. There's a button that says History, and it keeps a list of all the Internet sites you've gone to in the past 6 months.
But if you delete that, if I put delete history, does that delete the history, or can they retrieve that from the hard drive?
Well, that will delete the history, but it will be still embedded on the hard drive till it's written over.
Interesting.
Okay. However, that's not the only place. The second place is there's something called temporary file, Internet temporary files, and very often every web page has an expiration date. So if you download a page that has an expiration date of, say, next year, because the writer doesn't anticipate changing that page, that page will be stored right on your computer, so next time you request it, it will just pop up so it doesn't clog the Internet.
Interesting. Does it also tell you how long they spent on this particular page? Is there kind of a history like that, too?
Well, you can find that out, too, just by telling when the next access was. There's only two conditions. You're either going to, there's certain conditions when you're looking at a page. Well, you could have brought up the page and then walked away from the computer.
Gotcha.
The only way we know is when the next page was accessed or the browser was closed.
Gotcha. Rosie,
that's the only thing we can tell.
Rosie, let's take a look at some of those websites that they were accessing. I saw a couple in there that were kind of interesting. You know, that whoever at this house, we have Torsex. I mean, missing kids, sex search com, sweet sexy world for you, sexy. I mean, whoever, you know, why they were doing it. Then there's one dealing with escorts, Philadelphia escorts. It's just a little strange. I want to go out to our producer, Natisha Lance. She's a producer for the Nancy Grace Show. Natisha, how many computers did they seize from that house?
Well, they have the home computer, which they seized, and they also have the laptop, which they seized as well, which Casey was carrying around and claiming that it was her work computer. This was left over at Tony Lazzaro's apartment when Cindy came to get her from the apartment. Lee Anthony went back to the apartment and got it, and police were able to go back later and get that laptop.
So they have both the laptop and the home computer?
That's correct.
Great. Folks, we're taking your calls live. I want to go out now to Lisa in Missouri. Lisa, thanks for calling.
Thanks, Mike, for taking my call.
Yes, ma'am.
My question has to do with the evidence that Cindy, the hairbrush that Cindy had given the FBI, knowing that it was not the correct brush. And I also want to ask about the jeans that she had taken out of the trunk of Casey's car and washed. With her being a nurse, I have to wonder if she hasn't known from the very beginning and has been more concerned with protecting Casey by getting rid of that evidence as opposed to finding Kaylee.
Well, you know, that's a good question, because, you know, right from the very beginning we hear from Cindy, and we're going to talk about Cindy a little bit more after a break. But you know, we hear Cindy initially. She talks about, oh, there was something dead in the car. And then she says, well, no, it was pizza. Now, we now find out that it was not riding pizza. There was no pizza in the box. It was an empty box. And then the pants, she was supposed to turn some pants over, and the FBI kept asking for, but she never cooperated. So then they had to go ahead and get a search warrant and go to the house and get the pants. But as we go to break, a program note: tomorrow night, tune in for a special Nancy Grace Investigates as we go inside the critical first 24 hours in the Caylee Anthony case. Then on Friday, an in-depth look at the first 30 days of the Caylee Anthony investigation.